Welcome back. Hopefully you got a chance to see my intro video where I'm showing our land that we recently purchased in North Florida. It's 10 acres of land, and we were attempting to try to mow a few of the acres there, which was a lot. It was so much work. Oh my gosh, we were exhausted. We were out there for a couple days and it wore us out. So we now know that we need a bigger, better machine. And so that's what we will work on, getting that so that we can get this land mowed. The land is clear, but it does have tall grass on it and we do need to mow it. And so we attempted to mow it with smaller machines, but we now know we need something bigger. I'll take you guys along when we do that, do the actual mowing, and then we have to figure out how we're going to keep it mowed once we get it completely mowed. But it's a very beautiful piece of land. I at first I was a little apprehensive, but then spending a couple of days up there, I began to realize just how pretty it really is and how peaceful it was out there. And the dogs absolutely loved it. That's why I put them in the clips, because they had a field day. And all of us, Walter and I and the dogs, were exhausted. And my dad was with us, and so we were just worn out for the days that we were out there working on that property. For today, I want to do a little bit of explaining why we're doing what we're doing. I actually quit teaching. I chose not to go back to teaching this year, and to become a farmer, a small farmer, a homesteader. We plan to build a small homestead on this 10 acres where we're going to be growing our own food, as much of it as we possibly can, including meat. And as a matter of fact, we're probably going to even sell some of the meats that we will be raising on that property. And, I'll tell you guys more about that as we kind of go along on this journey. We plan to work with some local farmers in the area to, help sell some of the meat that we will be raising on our homestead. As I said, I decided not to renew my contract, my teaching contract this year, and chose to take a sabbatical. I actually took a leave of absence earlier this year, to kind of tend to my dad. I have been helping him with his health, accompanying him to many doctor's appointments. And when I went back and started counting the years, I think it ended up being, I think it's been 12 years I've been driving back and forth from, my 4.5 hour drive back and forth, to get him to and from the doctor. And so now that we're moving back to North Florida, I'm still driving back and forth now, but now I'm not working, so it's a lot easier to manage than it was when I was working. I took FMLA back in February, and through the end of the school year, which ended in May, at the end of May, and then chose not to go back. So I resigned, and so we are now going to work on, we're actually doing renovations on our house, our current house right now, which we plan to sell hopefully in, 3 to 6 months. And then we will be moving back to North Florida on this land that we purchased. We're going to build a house on it. So that's new. That's something new. We don't know how to do that. So we'll take you through that process, because we have no idea what we're doing. But we're looking forward to it. I always intended to leave education after my youngest graduated. So when Trayvon graduated from high school in 2015. That also was the same year that my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. So Trayvon was in his second half of his senior year. My dad was diagnosed with lung cancer February 2015. And if anyone knows how cancer works, you know that it takes up so much of your time. There's so many doctor's appointments, so many visits. And because he was going to have surgery to have his lung removed, it was a lot. It was really a lot. So Trayvon, sacrificed his mom's attention the last half of his senior year, so that I could tend to my dad to help him get, the medical care that he needed so that he can survive lung cancer. And it took a lot of time. So my dad he's fine. He survived. He survived surgery. Again, we got him through that. Got him all the way. Got him all the way through that. Got Trayvon. Thank God the child did what he was supposed to do. He graduated from high school. I can just remember moments that I just had to, please just pull up your grades so that I can see that you graduated from high school, because I really just did not know because of how much time I was spending taking my dad to the doctor, and then also teaching. I had what grade? I think I was teaching seventh grade at that time. So I'm teaching. There was, so between Trayvon needing to graduate from school and needed my kids to not blow their state testing because I was going to be absent so much because my dad was sick. It was a lot of stress. So 2015 was supposed to be that year that I was going to eventually teaching, but I ended up staying because now that my dad had cancer and had survived the surgery, but there was still a whole lot of follow-up that had to happen with that. So teaching was the job where I had all these days still available that I could take sick leave. So I stayed in teaching so that I can continue to help my dad to completely recover. I didn't leave teaching till maybe 2 years later, 2017. I think I left in 2 years later, um, or maybe 2018. Whenever. Anyway, I left a few years later, did the nonprofit, and then went back to teaching briefly to kind of get my footing again, because in 2020, just before the pandemic, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer again. So we were starting the process all over again. And so he is, and he survived that as well. He's doing fine. So we're a couple years out from that, but he's still kind of being monitored. He is cancer free, and he's still being monitored for that. But he's doing pretty good. But anyway, I just needed a break. I put together a video. It is mostly photos for where we kind of got the idea of what we're going to be doing on our homestead. So I'm going to say that the photos that I have are the ones that I was able to capture from my iPad and from my cell phone. Walter, we had majority of the photos. The best photos were on Walter's iPhone, but for whatever reason, it lost everything all that we did. It lost every photo, every video that was taken. I have no idea what happened. So I will probably forever hate iPhones for that very reason, because Walter's nice high-tech iPhone lost all of our important photos and videos from this trip that we took, and the only thing that we were left with was what my little raggedy Samsung Galaxy took. And I did take some with my iPad, and I'm glad that I did. Fortunately, I did that, so I was very happy that I was able to look on the iPad and see that I had taken some photos on my iPad as well. So iPad, thumbs up on iPad, thumbs down on iPhone. So I'm going to stick with my Samsung Galaxy as far as a phone is concerned. Stay tuned. Walter and I attended a 2-day seminar with Polyface Farms in Swoop, Virginia. And here's a picture of the valley. The Salentons own Polyface Farm, and one of the things they showed us was their chicken processing, which is the biggest part of their business. And this is the station that they have set up for the chicken processing. They also process rabbit meat, and so here's Daniel demonstrating how to process rabbit meat. One of the things they do is they compost the remains, anything that they're not using, any meat they're not using, they compost that there on the farm. And so here's an example of that. These are the meat chickens that are in chicken tractors on the mountain, and they get moved a couple times a day. And in these clips, Joel is demonstrating how the chickens are moved a couple times a day using this trolley thing. Here are some ducks that they use for meat as well as for eggs. And Joel is in the chick brooder right now showing us the deep bedding that they use to help keep down the smell on the property. They also rent land from neighbors who aren't using it, and so they graze cattle and sheep on those properties that are near their own farm. And this is one of those places that we went to. Back on the farm, we got to see this greenhouse that an intern was growing vegetables in, just as an experiment to see what they could do.
This upcoming clip is a demonstration on how to cut up a whole chicken and to be sold into separate pieces. And also there was a part in the demonstration that talked about how the pricing, how the chicken should be priced in parts as well as a whole chicken. So this was a very good demonstration.
You should be sawing on something. If you're whacking and smoke is tracking on something, you're in the wrong spot. So this first one, we're grabbing and we're cutting down toward the joint, and it rolls open like that. So see how that just rolled open? And then as soon as it rolls open, the joint of the wing is kind of a U shape. So as you go down, it opens up, and then as soon as it releases, you turn the knife upwards and bring the wing back to you, and it comes up and away. All right.
We got to do a hayride up the mountain being pulled by a tractor and got to see the pigs that they used to clear the forest. This is one of the forests that the pigs cleared, and so they built ponds up in the mountains to basically hold water so they didn't have to run water up there. So they just used it to capture rainwater. And so you saw some cattle just before this clip, and here are the egg layers. These are the eggmobile is what they call it. And these are the coolest chickens ever. Here's another shot of the mountain, just gorgeous. The Southers also have their own sawmill, so they were sawing some lumber there and then blowing the wood chips into the greenhouse for future use. And these are the turkeys that were also there on the farm. Sorry for the abrupt ending of the video with the turkeys, but that was the last photo that I had. As I mentioned earlier, the rest of the photos and video was lost on Walter's iPhone. Now, while Polyface Farms was shown throughout this video, they are not a sponsor, but you're more than welcome to go and visit, take a look at their website, or even go for a visit on the farm. It was a very beautiful place, very nice people. We had a wonderful time there. And I just want to come back in just to tell you guys thank you for watching the video. Well, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.